Every once in a while, something comes along that changes the game. Sometimes it's a song, sometimes it's a movie or video game, and other times it's an anime. When Naruto first hit the world in 1999, it wasn't just a story about a ninja. It was the beginning of something millions of people would grow up on, cry with, and never forget. At its core, Naruto is a story of a boy who no one believed in. Shunned by his village and carrying a dangerous spirit inside of him, Naruto Uzumaki starts out completely alone. Loud, clumsy, desperate to be seen, but as he fights to become the Hokage, or the strongest ninja of his village, something starts to change. Not just in him, but in everyone around him. It's a story about chasing recognition, about pain and perseverance, and how one loud kid turned his loneliness into a legacy. But over time, it became our story too, about friendship, pain, growth, and the simple, stubborn belief that you can be something more. Even now, years after the final episode aired, people are still talking about it. There's something strange about Naruto. It's clunky at times, there's an absurd amount of filler, and the animation is not always the best. But none of that stops people from loving it with their whole heart. That's because for millions of us, Naruto isn't just a show we watched. It's something we all lived through, something we carried with us through growing up. It's the kind of show that sticks with you even when you're not watching it. And even now, years later, you can still find Naruto fans everywhere. There's at least one cosplayer at a convention or people debating Kakashi versus Itachi in a place that has nothing to do with anime. Naruto is more than just nostalgia, it's cultural currency. What starts off as a classic underdog story grows into something much, much bigger, spanning war, legacy, and identity, while introducing some of the most iconic characters in anime history. But for many of us, it was our childhood. It was a series that made us laugh, cry, believe in the power of never giving up. So how did Naruto, with all its imperfections, become one of the most iconic anime of all time? To answer that, I want to take you back to the first time I ever saw it. It all started in Taiwan. I was visiting family, jet lagged, and I woke up late, stumbling out of bed, and as soon as I walked past the family room, I saw it. My cousin sitting in front of the TV, watching the first episode of Naruto. It wasn't even in English, but the moment I saw it, the ninjas jumping around in their distinctive clothes, the fight with the nine-tailed fox attacking the Leaf Village, I was hooked. The intensity of this scene gripped me. Even though I couldn't understand the words, I could feel the emotion. The fight, the chaos, the sense of something bigger happening. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I wanted more. I didn't start watching Naruto right away though. The memory of that first episode lingered in the back of my mind. It wasn't until much later, when I was back home, that I finally dove in. Some online gamer friends told me I had to watch it, so I did. And once I started, well, that was it. I'd spend late nights on my iPad or computer just watching every episode I could get my hands on. There were nights I'd fall asleep with the show still playing, only to wake up hours later and find myself 10 episodes deeper than I last remembered. It was a full-on addiction. The moments like the fight between Rock Lee and Gaara, and then later Naruto's battle with Pain, the energy, the tension, I could feel it. It was more than just flashy animation or big explosions. It was about something bigger. It was about belief, growth, and never giving up no matter how tough things got. Watching Naruto fight for his place in the world, seeing him rise above all the hatred and loneliness, inspired me in ways I didn't even understand back then. I remember being in that moment, feeling like I too could overcome any obstacle. And I believe, just like Naruto did, that if you worked hard enough, you could make your dreams come true. Looking back, I don't know exactly what clicked inside me when I first watched that show, but there was something there, something that stayed with me. It wasn't the action or the characters, it was the message. Now, talking about Naruto's themes and messages could probably take me this entire video and some. And honestly, I wouldn't even mind that, because what makes Naruto truly special isn't just the action-packed fights. It's the way the series digs into deep and real human struggles. Loneliness, the need for connection, and the desire to find a place to belong to. From the beginning, we see characters like Naruto and Gaara who are isolated and misunderstood. Their arcs show us how important it is to find people who see us for who we really are. And as they grow, and they show us how, despite the pain of their loneliness, that need for connection is something worth fighting for. But the show doesn't stop at the idea of connection. It also explores the bonds we create when we find those people, especially when they're not in our family by blood. Naruto's journey isn't just about becoming the strongest or earning recognition from his village. It's about building his own family. From Team 7 to Jiraiya to Iruka, and later the people he leads as a Hokage, Naruto is a constant reminder that family doesn't always come from where we expect. Sometimes it's the bonds we choose, the people we surround ourselves with who help us become who we're meant to be. And those connections aren't always perfect. In fact, much of Naruto revolves around breaking cycles, particularly breaking this cycle of hatred that has passed through generations. Characters like Sasuke and Pain are driven by a desire for vengeance, yet their stories ultimately become about breaking free from that destructive cycle. For Naruto, understanding that pain is the key to ending it. It's not just about defeating the enemy, it's about understanding them, seeing their hurt, and offering them a different path. This message about breaking the cycle of hatred is something that stuck with me long after the show ended, and taught me how empathy could change the course of not just fictional lives, but our own interactions in the real world. Of course, breaking those cycles isn't easy, and Naruto constantly is reminding us that growth takes time. One of the most powerful aspects of the show itself is how it emphasizes perseverance through pain. Whether Naruto is enduring rejection or someone like Rock Lee is pushing past his personal limits, the message is clear. Strength comes from facing our struggles, not avoiding them. It's about pushing forward even when the odds seem insurmountable. This resonated deeply with me, especially during times when I faced personal challenges, because Naruto didn't tell me to just keep going. It showed me why it was worth it. But while the series is all about strength, it's also about identity. Characters like Naruto and Hinata constantly wrestle with who they are and where they fit into this world. Naruto, rejected as a child because of the Nine Tails, has to embrace his identity as a Jinchuriki while also carving his own way, while Hinata's quiet determination and struggle with self-doubt forces her to accept who she is, flaws and all. In both their stories, I saw a reflection of my own journey, the process of trying to understand who I am, what I stand for, and how I can accept my own imperfections. And that brings us to the theme of mentorship, which is woven throughout the entire series. It's not just about wisdom being passed down from one person to another, it's about the way each mentor shapes the next generation in subtle ways. Jiraiya's teachings, Iruka's early support, and Kakashi's quiet guidance all offer Naruto the tools not just to become a powerful ninja, but a better person. The idea of mentorship through family, friends, or even media like Naruto has played a huge role in shaping me. It's something I carry with me, knowing that the guidance I've received isn't just about knowledge, it's about helping me navigate my own growth. But one of the most important lessons Naruto offers is that empathy is power in itself. It's easy to see someone's strength in physical abilities or accomplishments, but the true power in Naruto comes from understanding one another. Naruto's ability to empathize with his enemies like Gaara and Pain shows us that the greatest strength comes from knowing where someone else is coming from and using that understanding to change their perspective. That message really hits home for me because it taught me that empathy is something to make real connections, to help people feel heard or seen rather than just winning arguments. And through it all, there's this underlying current of hope that things can get better, hope that change is possible even in the darkest times, that there's always a chance to improve. That's the fuel that keeps Naruto going through every battle and every heartbreak. His hope, even when it seems completely irrational, is what gives him the strength to never give up. And I think that's one of the most important aspects about the series itself, is the idea of perseverance. These themes aren't just ideas that made Naruto a great show, they're the reason it stuck with me long after I forgot the details of every fight. When I look back on why I was so drawn to Naruto, even when I didn't understand it at the time, I think it was because of these messages. They resonated with me. The need for connection or community, the importance of empathy and perseverance, and of course the belief that hope can change everything. So after exploring the themes and connections, there's also another essential part of Naruto, and it's the idea idea of mentorship, how one person's belief can change everything, the idea of shaping the next generation, of pushing others to be their best. This is something we see consistently throughout the series, and one character who embodies this philosophy, who shows us the true power of mentorship and hard work, is Might Guy. Now, Might Guy is just one character in the sea of great stories, but among them, he stands out for one simple reason. He was never meant to be great. In a world of inherited power and bloodlines, Might Guy had none of that. No Sharingan, no Byakugan, no secret-tailed beast inside him, just a goofy smile, green jumpsuit, and an iron will that would never break. And that's what makes him special and one of my personal favorite characters in the series. Because Might Guy is living proof that hard work can be just as powerful as talent. He trained his body relentlessly, pushing past every limit, and when people laughed at him, he smiled even bigger. You can see it in his bond with Kakashi. One is a genius, while the other is a tireless worker. But Guy doesn't let that gap discourage him. Instead, he challenges Kakashi every chance he gets. And little by little, he closes that distance. You see it in the way he mentors Rock Lee because he sees himself in Lee. He knows what it's like to be told you don't belong, and instead of giving up, he becomes the kind of mentor he wished he had. And then there's the fight. The one that proves everything he ever believed in. And I'm talking about when Might Guy opened up the 8th gate to fight Madara. Might Guy opening the 8th gate to fight Madara is more than just a flex. It's the peak of his philosophy. He knows the cost. He knows it's a suicide mission, but he does it anyway, because this is what he trained for. This is how he protects the people he loves, not with destiny, not with inherited power, but with everything he built from the ground up. And in that moment, even Madara, a literal god in the ninja world, admits it. You are the strongest in taijutsu. It's not just a cool fight scene, it's a message that effort, spirit, and perseverance matter. And even in a world where the odds are stacked against you, you can still shine. Now, Naruto is packed with unforgettable figures, each with their own deep personal journey. There's Jiraiya, the mentor who helped shape Naruto into the man he'd become, his own story being a reflection of dreams, loss, and the cost of being a teacher. And then there's Pain, whose tragic transformation from a hopeless child who knew nothing other than war transforms into a ruthless leader that forces us to confront the ideas of pain, vengeance, and the search for peace. And of course, we can't forget Itachi. Now, his story has been broken down and analyzed time and time again, but essentially, he's this complex anti-hero whose actions were driven by an unthinkable love for his brother. Or someone like Kakashi, the teacher with a hidden past, whose growth mirrors the very themes of Naruto, those being loss, perseverance, and responsibility. Every character in the series goes through their own journey, and some of the most inspiring transformations happen with characters you might not expect. Like Rock Lee, who isn't blessed with any natural talent that other ninjas have, but his grit, perseverance, willpower ultimately shapes him up to becoming one of the most beloved characters in the series. His arc is one of the most heart-wrenching and uplifting in all of Naruto, and it's a perfect example of how the series uses personal growth to drive its story. These characters are integral to the richness of Naruto. The series doesn't just follow one person, it weaves together multiple tales of growth, failure, redemption, and triumph. Each character arc contributes to the greater message that Naruto is trying to tell. And that's exactly why Naruto is much more than just a great anime. It's become part of our culture. It's not just about the characters, it's about how these stories and lessons have transcended the screen and made their mark on the real world. Now, Naruto isn't just an anime, it's sort of a phenomenon. It's really hard to overstate just how deeply this series has embedded itself into global culture, but at its peak, Naruto was one of the Shonen Jump's big three, aka the holy trinity of shonen anime, alongside Bleach and One Piece. But even alongside these two giants, Naruto stood out on its own. The numbers back it up too. As of today, Naruto has sold over something like 250 million copies worldwide. The anime has been translated into dozens of languages and streamed in over 80 countries. The franchise itself, including merchandise, games, movies, and spin-offs, including Boruto, is estimated to be worth billions. Now, this isn't just a small fandom, it's cultural infrastructure, and you can feel it in everyday life. You see Naruto hoodies in the mall, or kids and adults walking around with Leaf Village headbands at conventions. People are still doing the Naruto run. And then there's the memes and the countless TikTok edits. The sounds of Silhouette and Bluebird can trigger an avalanche of nostalgia in seconds. And just to take a quick second, Naruto has some of my favorite anime openings and endings of all time, up there with Hunter x Hunter, with bands like Asian Kung Fu Generation being responsible for it. And it might be due to nostalgia, but there have been times where I've gone back and listened to that band on my walks or commute. But even now, years after the series has ended, the conversation hasn't stopped. Just the other day, I was playing a game and someone dropped a Pain quote in all chat. And suddenly, we weren't just teammates, we were Naruto fans. There's a shared language here, a shorthand for emotion and history and hype. That's the real magic of Naruto. It's not just a show that we all watched, it's something that we all experienced together. So how did a show with so many flaws become one of the most beloved series of all time? And how did it become a kind of series that not only shaped a generation, but continues to hold a place in all of our hearts? It's not because of the fights, although most of those were amazing. It's not just the music, even though it hits every time you hear it. And it's definitely not because of the filler episodes. Naruto isn't perfect, and neither are we, but maybe that's the point. It's because Naruto cared. It took its time with pain, with failure, and with dreams that felt impossible. It showed us loneliness and showed us what it meant to be loved. Naruto is a story about growth and community, and not just for the characters. We watch them stumble, rise, fall again, and then keep going. And in doing so, we kind of saw ourselves. Rock Lee isn't a cool underdog. He's a reminder that hard work matters. Might Guy wasn't meant to be great, but he chose to be anyways. Naruto isn't just a loudmouth ninja. He's someone who kept going, even when he was alone and the world told him to give up. Characters like Jiraiya, Kakashi, Pain weren't just mentors or villains. They were people chasing purpose, carrying regret, and trying to make sense of their place in the world, just like us. And maybe that's why Naruto stuck with me. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was always there. Through late nights with my iPad, through tough days at school, and through the moments where you kind of just needed something or anything to believe in. That's what Naruto gave me. Not just fights and flashbacks, but something to really hold on to that made me feel seen. And the craziest part is I'm not alone. You can find Naruto fans anywhere. In your Discord server, in a League of Legends match, in line at a convention. It's cultural currency now, a shared language for an entire generation of anime fans. Now, Naruto didn't have to be perfect. It just had to be real. And that's why, filler and all, it became more than just a show. It became something we lived with, grew alongside, and somehow it grew up with us too. Thank you. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Naruto has had a special spot in my heart, and I'll always kind of hold it dear. Obviously, this is my own personal reflection on the series and how I interpreted it, so I'd love to hear how you all interpreted it, or if you grew up on an entirely different series. But anyways, if you enjoyed watching, please hit that like button and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And drop a comment down below with your thoughts. I really enjoy reading all the kind words and thoughts you guys have to say. And feel free to leave me suggestions on how I can improve. And with that, have a good one. Peace.